Okay. The annual meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners is called to order. I'd like to designate Tony Clunin as temporary chair for the annual meeting.
I'll now accept nominations for the office of President of the Board of Water Commissioners for this year. Coming year. Are there any nominations?
Yes, I nominate Dennis Croswell as for president.
Nomination for Dennis Croswell, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion?
Move the nominations be closed.
We'll accept the motion. Now call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion having been carried. I now resign as temporary chairman and turn the meeting over, the annual meeting over to Dennis Croswell as new president. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you all. Probably should also have the reading of the minutes of the previous annual meeting. So I have a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting.
Do I have a, okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried. Now open nominations for secretary.
I nominate Joanne Sesh for secretary.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I guess. Wasn't expecting it.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a nomination and a second. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, we'll go to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Congratulations, Joanne.
I'll have to find out what I'm supposed to be doing.
Kind of like vice president, don't do much.
Oh, thank you, Bob.
Committee assignments. I guess I recommend that we keep the committee assignments the same as been in the past. I mean, we really haven't had any changes or anything new or different. So committee assignments will remain the same for the coming year. And the one thing I would like to do is hopefully we'll be able to fill our vacant commissioner position that we've had vacant for a little while now. So if people could maybe make some nominations to, or make some inquiries so we can fill that last board seat, I'd appreciate it.
We'll put it in our newsletter again this week.
Okay.
To get it fresh out of everyone's mind.
Okay, accepting a nomination, motion to adjourn the annual meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried. Thank you all. Okay, let's move.
Next annual meeting date is
Yeah, it's June 7th.
No, June 13th. I put 7th down.
Oh,
That was the first Wednesday, and the second Wednesday is the third.
okay, so the June
No,
3rd.
what's the second Wednesday?
It should be 14th then. It should be a week later.
Yeah,
If the 7th was the first Wednesday,
got it. No,
well, we'll modify that if not, but at this point in time, looks like it's June 14th. 2023.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay, I'd like to now open the June meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners. Minutes of the previous meeting. Do I have a motion to accept or modify?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We're gonna hold off on the bills and the presentation of bills and accounts for Joanne to do her audit. Okay, let's move on then to the Cooper Lake improvements.
Okay. Start off, I know I emailed everybody, but we received the class exception from EPA since the last meeting. So the entire Cooper Lake project is now eligible for EFC state revolving fund money. So that was big news. And I'm working with EFC now to determine what needs to be done to make sure we can close that financing. So there's some things that they need from us in terms of what we've already put out for engineering, and they do updated financing applications and budgets, which I have a lot of that done already. So we have that.
So does that mean that if and when we get that funding from EFC, we take that funding and pay off the ban?
So how we're gonna do that, we don't quite know yet. I did have a call last week with John Toohey and the financial advisor and the bond counsel. And basically, right now we have a ban that comes due in August, because the initial plan was to go to bond.
Right.
Portion that wasn't eligible, and then we kind of got this wrinkle from EPA. So we'll renew that ban, and then we'll wait for EFC to give us an idea of where it's going to go. Basically, the money that hasn't been spent of that ban, we'll be able to return. We'll have disbursements from EFC to back up invoices as they come in.
Which will save us interest costs
We
because,
won't have the money in hand.
right, EFC's money is only, interest is paid is when we actually use.
Yeah,
Money
as you do disbursements.
And it's not likely that this EFC funding would be available before we have to reinstate it, or don't,
You know, the absolute earliest, from what I gathered from my analysts at EFC that I've been talking to, is the earliest of closing would be October.
Okay,
Probably the best case scenario for financing to be closed, so. Between now and August, I hope we get a better timeline. But
okay. And when is the ban?
August 19th, I think, so maybe another 6 months renewal or a year renewal, depending on where EFC thinks we're gonna be.
Okay. And what else? Anything else?
In terms of work at the site, I know you were out there a couple weeks ago, but they're doing a lot of, right now, the main focus is pouring concrete. So they're pouring a spillway to start encasing the spillway. And also the intake tower, they're doing the first couple pours on that. So that's the real focus of the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, Jim and I went up, probably 2 weeks ago now.
That sounds right.
And pretty impressive seeing what was going on. I mean, at that point in time, they had the intake tower kind of all dug out and kind of framed out for working on trying to get the pouring to be done.
So basically it looks like that now, but more formed around the rebar, but
Okay.
pouring the concrete, so nothing's changed in terms of look, but
Have they poured anything?
they poured the first part of the spillway when I was up there last Tuesday.
Nothing.
But I couldn't see
happened.
it because it was all wrapped in plastic and it was raining, and they had just poured it, so I couldn't see it, but it was there. And then they were pouring the tower on Thursday and Friday.
Okay,
The first part of it.
okay.
With EFC, it's great that we're gonna be able to put the EFC financing to use. Is there any, does that then open us up to writing any more actual grants?
So one of my questions for EFC is, we have the 3 million that we got,
Yeah.
part of the 2021 round. Assuming there's gonna be a 2022 round, which I think it's a safe assumption there will be. I don't see anything that precludes us from asking for another 3 million for the same project. That is the cap, so I mean, that's the most we can get, it's 60% of 3 million, so that would be my hope, is to ask for another 3 million for the same project they've already awarded,
Okay.
so give it 6.
And if any DEC monies may come available.
Nothing that I've really seen to this point, but I know that.
Right, but I mean, they talked about the fact that
We got the 100,000 for the design.
right, for the design, but Judy made it seem like from before that
I think
there's a fairly good chance that there might be some money available for actual construction.
Yeah, I don't know how this EPA thing affects that, in terms of them getting exemptions now, but.
I mean, it all goes through EFC anyway.
Not the DEC one,
Oh, it wouldn't?
no, that goes through DEC, and then they.
No, okay. Because I thought DEC also, I thought EFC was also the conduit for DEC money.
I haven't, I mean, if that's the case when we close it, maybe. I haven't talked to anybody to see in terms of that contract yet for
Okay.
getting that fund. So if that's how it is, I'm not got to that point yet. 'Cause they have their own.
I was under the assumption that
They collect all
the
their. own
EFC was the same conduit for the health department and DEC together.
If it is, I'm not aware of it.
Okay.
We did everything through a separate gateway that I never used, see, so.
Okay.
and they've
So
been
your
collecting
conversations are with EPA or with the EFC?
DEC for that 100,000.
No,
DEC
but-
directly.
Okay,
For the other portion, it's with DOH has been the main point of contact for getting that exception.
oh, okay.
He's been reaching out to EPA, and he's the one that came back with the news a few weeks ago.
And that's,
Brock.
okay. Well, it's positive news.
Yes.
Thanks. Okay, nothing else on Cooper?
I don't think so.
Okay. The transmission main rehab project.
The work at Voices is complete. Schultz is out of there. So now we just have to close out that grant, and then that'll be the end of that. So we wait for a couple more invoices to get final disbursements with the grants, and then that's the end of that project.
Okay. We had 2020.
The RFPs for the skater work have gone out. Hopefully at the end of this week, I have some numbers back on those. We had a meeting with CDM Smith last Monday, I believe, to talk about the valve replacements data. And they gave us a checklist of what the shutdowns are gonna have to be to do the valves, and we're gonna go out and check some of those smaller valves to make sure the designs are good for the bid documents, and the shutdowns will hopefully work as planned. And that's kind of where we are with that.
So you had that meeting with them.
We did last Monday, I think it was. So we've been, the guys downstairs have been going out and checking some of those.
So do we have to go out? I mean, the RFP is for the skater
Just for the
portion.
Yeah, that's gonna have to go to bid at some point.
Okay.
Hopefully,
So is any idea about when that will go out to bid?
hopefully by the summer. And then we have to order valves and whatever else we may need.
Construction would be like to be next spring, you think?
Hopefully.
And you think that's a situation where it's better for us to buy the valves?
We talked about that, and I'm gonna reach out to EFC and see how that, because when we bought the stuff for. We have to make sure we buy it the right way to get the reimbursement. for it,
Okay.
Basically,
Because that's what we did for the transmission rehab project, right?
we did buy some pieces for that, for the voices piece,
Right.
piece of that work. We did buy some of the stuff ourselves.
Okay, Quarry Street.
We
We
received
have,
bids.
yeah.
I put those in your packets. We got 6 bids in. That's Larios' recommendation letter.
Well, it was good that he recommended the lowest bid.
Yes.
Take it, and, because I don't really know much about any of these companies, so, they're, since they recommended them, I guess, they must be, yeah, fine and everything.
My understanding is Roar's Construction does a lot of blasting. They have their own blasting crews,
Mhm.
which is probably why they came in the lowest, because they don't have to sub it out.
Okay,
And they're a local company too. They're,
Other than Grant Street, I think they were all relatively nearby.
okay. Trinity is also.
That one I'm not as sure on, but I mean,
Ours obviously is local.
the first 3
They
were,
do work all over the place in the city and,
the first 3 were definitely.
okay, yeah, and I know Roars actually is the guy that owns Apple Green's golf course. Yeah. That's where you gotta start in construction, and then after getting fairly large, construction, you end up going out and buying that area and building the golf course out there. So according to Mr. Larios, he's recommending Roars Construction.
It's a $20,000 allowance, I should know, but I don't.
He built that into the bid just for change orders and,
Okay.
Contingency, basically.
yeah,
So it'll be pretty much 300,000 or 300,000, right?
yeah.
Is that the 279?
279. No, the 279 is with the.
Oh, with it, okay, it contains it, okay. So, I got a recommendation from consulting engineer on the project. Do I have a motion to accept this bid?
Make the motion to accept the bid from Brewers.
Okay,
I'll
second it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll go to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Opposed? And carried. So I would assume then, so the next step is someone contacts Brewers, notifies them that their bid was accepted, and we'll set up our time to meet with them, I guess, and hopefully we'll start construction sometime in end of June or so. Does Dennis have any idea how long it would take for this project?
I would have to go back and look at what, a couple of weeks, I think, is,
Okay.
I mean, they get in there, they blast the trench and lay the pipe.
Okay.
So
And we have to notify the school system.
I've been in contact with Tom Clapper
Okay.
about what we were going out to bid and what the, I told, emailed them when the bid came in, I don't know what they were, so.
So that they.
And what the window of the work is, I think it's June 24th to August 30th,
Mhm.
somewhere in there.
Okay. And I guess at some point in time, if the coordinate with the city, because the street may be somewhat impassable, fire company and everybody else. Okay. Right. Nothing else on that, right? Okay. X City.
Not really any changes, they continue to pay the bills. They were sent their last bill, which was the third quarter for them, for the third month of the quarter. And they called and they asked why it was large, and my understanding is they've got an explanation, and they said, okay.
Okay.
So we haven't gotten that payment yet, but it's not due until the 15th, so they usually pay right around due date, January.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll see, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Treatment chemicals.
Okay.
Did you send us or not?
I didn't have some of the stuff I just got a few hours ago, so. What we have is, we had back in April, I believe, we renewed the chlorine gas for another year. So I have renewal quotes for the alum, the sodium hypochlorite, and our hydrated lime. And I just wanted to share those with the board. So I'll start with the liquid alum, that is Holland Company. They've given us a 1-year renewal of $1.61 per gallon. We are currently at $1.24, so that's about 30%. We have Slack are the other two chemicals. The hydrated lime, the renewal offer was basically 40 cents rounding up, and we are at 30 cents right now, so that's 34%. And the sodium hypochlorite, we are currently at $1.30. And the renewal offer is $4.98.
Ooh,
So that's a 284%.
490,
$4.98,
and
that's
it,
per gallon. So
and
that's
it was
$1.30,
1/3.
so 284% for the sodium hypo.
Okay,
So in talking with Derek at the plant, the hypo, I mean, that's a big increase, so that one, I think we should probably bid for sure. other two, I guess,
So these aren't bids, these are.
no, these are just renewals from who we have.
Oh, okay.
So we would bid it, we put the bids out later this week for anything that we need to bid.
Okay, so you just went back to the same companies that we had the current contract with and asked them what the new contract prices would be.
Right. Now, with the line, I went back, and the last time we received a bid from somebody other than Slack was 2015. So that one, when we did it, it's likely we're gonna end up with them
Anyway,
anyway.
okay,
And the alum is kind of the same thing,
with Holland.
Holland, yes.
And who do we get the sodium?
That's also from Slack, but with that huge increase, there are other companies that bid on that, so that one we would like to rebid it.
So you're gonna rebid all three of them?
I mean, I'd like to, Derek and I think the alum, at least, we'd like to renew the alum to get that one with the 161. But if the board feels that we need to rebid all three, then we can also,
Well, when do these contracts expire?
they expire on the 15th of July.
Okay,
So we could have bids in,
Where do you advertise the bids?
we send them directly to the companies and also in Freeman, but we have a list of the chemical companies around. I think a lot of our problem is we don't have quantity for some of these things, for these companies to be roughly. Because the last time we did a bid, I called a few companies and they basically said, we don't sell for less than X quantity. It's like
Okay.
a year for us, but they do a one delivery, so.
I mean, is there any problem with this? I mean, if we're gonna bid the two other ones,
Yeah, we can bid all three, if that's how the board wants to go. We can do that.
if you're bidding the two, you might as well bid the third. I don't think you're gonna get a worse deal.
I don't know. I mean, with the line, that's the one I was most concerned about, because I feel like Slack probably knows they're the only ones that did it, because we have very specific requirements for the line to make sure it doesn't get.
Couldn't we go back to them and say, well, you gave us a price of 40 cents?
We could. So we can put those bids out this week, and we'll have them before the next board meeting.
Okay,
Could you do requests for quotes? And instead of doing like a formal bidding process, do a request for quotes and basically just, you know, like you would normally do your normal process, putting in the paper, sending it out to folks, but basically just, in that way, you're basically just you're calling the companies that you know and asking them for actual quotes. You then compare the quotes that you get. And if a company doesn't respond within an X period of days, they're deemed non-responsive. We do that for purchases under a certain dollar value in the city, you know, as part of our traditional procurement policy, but it is another option compared to either no quote, like no process, or the full process of doing a full RFP. You know, a request for quotes is sometimes a little quicker, and you can just make the call yourself to who you know, as long as you get more than 3 quotes, or at least try to contact 3 companies, you've done your due diligence. And then they may feel a little bit more comfortable also giving you a price, because sometimes the pricing only lasts for 24 hours, and then they don't hold it for you after that. So it could give you an ability to make a quicker decision. I don't know, just an idea.
but the quote would be good for a year's contract.
Yeah, right, it's whatever you're asking them to quote for, right, so a year's contract of, or an X amount of material, or however, whatever your comparison factor is, you know, either based on quantity or based on the number of deliveries, or.
The only question I've had with that is if they're only good for a set time in terms of accepting them. Would I have the authorization to accept the lowest of the 3 if we?
I mean, I think if you have material, if these all expire on July 15th, and you have material needs between now and the next board meeting.
Well, the next board meeting will be before July 15th.
Right.
And we're kind of obligated, I guess, through the current contracts.
The only benefit, I think, with the bid is it's a sealed bid. When RFPs are gonna give you a price, but if they know they're competing against other companies, I don't know. How long will it take to do the bid process?
I have the bids ready to go. I mean, they'll be out tomorrow.
They can have a 2-week
I already
turnaround.
updated it in the assumption.
You can have them by July 1st. Right, is that too soon?
I mean, I put on the bid July 11th, because the meeting's on the
Okay.
13th.
Right.
So I mean, but I could put, it doesn't take these companies very long to do this.
Right.
So I put the 3 of them in the bid, and any ones that happen to have been renewed, I'll just delete them out. If we're gonna bid all 3, then I'm good to go. I just put it out tomorrow.
Do you use a significant amount to make it worthwhile, then, or is it like if we just?
I mean, I think that's why we get the same companies every time. It's always the same companies. I think it's because part of it is our quantity, but the larger companies aren't gonna be bothered delivering what we need every 2 or 3 weeks, but. It's
Yeah,
always the same.
we're not buying in bulk enough. We're not like
That's what I mean.
New York City or even Albany or whatever. We're such a fairly small system that we're stuck unless there's a, go in with other water systems and buy that way, but I don't know, it's probably too difficult to kind of figure that all out.
I mean, I know, I don't have the quantities on top of my head, but I know it will be.
In the
I can
past.
do one, I can put the bids out tomorrow. We can put that.
Why don't we just put the bids out, what do you think?
What do you think?
Probably safer just do it that way.
We can do that.
It's cool.
We need a motion for that?
Yep.
Okay. So looking for a motion to direct the superintendent to send out bids for, advertise for bids for alum, sodium hypochlorite, and lime for starting July 15th, 2022 to, for a 1-year contract. Unless you think would they be better to get a multi-year
The
contract?
language is 1 year with our mutual extensions. That's how it's worded. We can take a look at it if you want, but that's what we use. That's what we've always done, as far as I can tell.
So the prices you just got here
would be the
were basically,
optional.
you contacted them to extend the contract, and as long as the contract was the same price, you just extended the contract. But since there was an increase, then you had to come back to the board to get approval. Or you probably have to come back to the board
That would
anyway.
have been anyway, probably, but yeah, if we didn't get the same prices, so. If it had been the same price, then I would probably.
Just-
know that because of the board meeting, but.
And
So-
we just would have approved it, but we're not, so. Okay, well, send it out, advertise for bids in the normal process, and so. Need a motion, I guess?
Make the motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried. Okay, you done ordering the bills and accounts, Joanne?
Yes.
Can jump back up to presentation of bills and accounts.
I'll make a motion to accept the bills and accounts as presented.
Second.
Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried. Correspondence?
I mean, just the stuff that I've kind of included here, like you had questions, I had a question about the retirement account. at the last
Yeah.
meeting, so I included that memo
Okay,
with what we have there.
that's not really a correspondence, so right?
No, I have nothing from.
No
outside.
no
It's not-
correspondence.
It's not on the agenda, so.
Right, so we do have, that's a different item. We have the department's retirement account. So it's the recommendation is to move 27,000 from the retirement account into the general checking account.
And that would leave enough for the 4 employees plus the one that will be eligible shortly,
Okay.
2 years.
Okay, any discussion? Sounds like a good idea. I mean,
I guess it's a good idea.
I mean, we don't need the money right this second, but
Yeah.
we're not gaining or losing much on interest
No,
either
no
way.
interest gains and.
Okay. Okay, I guess accept the motion to make that transfer.
I'll make a motion to make the transfer of the monies from retirement account into the general checking account for the amount of $27,000.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
second,
Okay, those in favor?
aye,
Opposed? Thank you, Harry. Okay, and we need to go in executive session for the personnel issue, or?
I don't think for that, I have something additional outside of that I got on Monday. But for the accountant position, I think I included everything and I emailed everybody back after we were, so I don't have anything for executive
Okay, but
session for that.
do you have something for executive?
do,
session?
yes.
Okay, so why don't we deal with the accountant position? Everyone got a copy of Matt's memo in regards to recommendation to fill the accountant position. So, guess I'll entertain a motion to accept this candidate unless there's any discussion.
Provisional.
Provision, yes, it's a provisional appointment of Megan Miller to the position of accountant pending exam at a salary of $50,000 per year, effective June 11th, 2022. Okay. I can make the motion, but
I'll make the motion to accept Megan Miller to the position of accountant, salary $50,000 a year, effective June 11th, 2022.
okay, do I have a second?
second,
When
Okay,
is it effective?
June 11th. So that's the next pay period,
Start
basically,
the next period, yeah.
and she's all set and ready to go.
Yes, she is.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, very good. Welcome, Megan. Superintendent's report.
Now, second, that be part of the executive session.
It was not, no,
You might want to bring that up
before.
before. One more thing.
One more thing before.
Before this, I got two other things actually that came up this week that were not included in your packet, so you want to do it before superintendents or after?
We'll do the superintendent's report real quick. It's just on the agenda there. Still concerned about the amount of difference between production and consumption here. Other than that. Anyone have any issues, concerns, comments? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to accept superintendent's report.
I'll make a motion to accept the superintendent's report.
second,
Okay. Those in favor?
aye,
Opposed? Okay. Carried. We have other stuff other than the executive session. you wanna go
Yes.
over. Okay.
So one thing that came up this week was our 2022 fee schedule. And the prices of meters and taps and everything else is just from one week to the next. It's, I mean, I think Jane has it in front of her possibly, but we had a 3-inch meter and the price from one week to the next was an increase of $900. So what I was thinking was Jane printed up copies of our fee schedule. And on the bottom, we have little notations. And the third notation, there is now something that says taps and meters are subject to material costs at time of delivery. I don't know if that. Just because we can't. A couple of years ago, we did stop giving tap fees for larger taps, and those were determined on an as needed basis. Working with Ryan and the prices and what we needed to do. But we still have the meter costs and the smaller tap fees. But the these costs are not keeping up with it. what
So
we had.
that's a modification,
Yeah, that first line on the tap fees was not
not there before.
correct. So rather than coming back every single meeting when the
Say,
prices increase
fees.
and not being able to charge somebody for a meter, because the meter is $900 more today than it was a week ago. I don't know how else to do it, because we bill the customer for these meters, but
Okay, so just explain that again to me. What's?
so like this 3-inch meter,
Mhm.
we ordered one, and then we ordered another one week later, and the price was $900 more the next week.
Okay, okay,
So these costs is basically just covering material. We're
okay,
not making money off of these
Mhm.
meters or these taps. So I want something. And I added
right
that
there, I
to
see,
say that
okay.
these aren't necessarily what the
Okay.
price is. If we get a delivery for your
Mhm,
3-inch meter and it costs $1,200 more than what we thought it was,
mhm.
then we bill for the actual cost of the
So do
material.
we want to even keep prices up here?
And we could take them off and just have some kind of note.
Because that would be confusing, because if someone gets this and says it's 3,000 and they get a bill for $3,900, they're gonna say, well,
Yeah.
you know, even though they don't want to, you know, in the small print down below, so it'd be better just
Then we can.
Yeah.
not even have it, maybe emphasize that a little bit bigger.
You know, what you can say on there is, if interested, call for pricing. Because, you know, pricing is subject to change,
Yeah.
yeah. So that if people really, you know, that which they should call, I didn't realize they were gonna move this much.
And that's-
I mean,
I'm all for that, and that works for me. It's-
Yeah,
Yeah.
So if we can, I know we accepted this back in November, so maybe we could have a motion to accept it with those changes.
okay.
So we could publish that and
Right.
if that's how we want.
Is there any other changes?
No.
No, just
Just
that.
eliminating those 2 boxes, basically.
Okay,
Is there so do we install them sometimes?
The meters?
Yeah.
Yes, we do the installs.
And so is that the $50 an hour? For regular
Well, that-
under miscellaneous? Like, so how would we charge, because this is an inclusive price,
The
right?
meter itself, that's just for like the meter and the radio. The actual supply, the material.
Right, so with the current box where it says install price,
As in, you don't have a meter and you need a new install.
right, but not installed by the water department.
It is installed by the water department.
But that price includes currently, or does not currently include the actual time that we
I don't think we put
spend?
another 50 on top of that.
No.
No, it's
It was
built
just-
into that.
It's built in.
So that would be,
So I guess.
if you're winterizing your home and you want to take the meter out, it's
Right.
$50.
Right.
That's what, so yeah, it's,
Right, but if we're now separating out and charging people the actual cost of the meter, say,
which is if you need a new meter, yes. That's what we're doing.
but then what would we charge them to install? So if in case, say, a new 5/8" meter costs $600 now. Actual to us, what would we charge someone to have that put in their house? Or
It would be the cost of.
The meter, we don't charge them for the
We're
labor.
not,
we don't charge them for the
yeah,
labor?
we're not making money off these at all in any way, or covering our costs for our employees.
Okay.
Unless, I mean,
It's basically the cost of doing business as a,
if it's
Okay.
after, if you're doing a tap and it's after hours, we have in the note that we will charge for overtime, because we request that the taps are done during normal business hours.
Okay,
But yeah, we're not
I
charging.
guess I was confused where it says, under miscellaneous, it says meter removal / install, $50.
If you have it reinstalled within a certain time frame, then it's not really an install, that's a
All right,
reactivation, I don't know how you want to phrase it, but
yeah,
maybe reinstall,
yeah,
yeah,
People
Just
take their meters.
removal
out,
and
make sure they're
reinstall.
back in the
we
summer.
can have that.
And for
Yeah,
us to
just
do
it-
that, we
it might
charge $50,
help.
that's what we're
Yeah.
charging them for, something like that, or the parks, you know, or the cemeteries.
Right.
And, you know.
Okay.
It's a lot of work.
So you're eliminating both the tap fee and the meter install boxes,
Yes,
okay? But you'll have a separate
a note there.
someplace,
To call
and you guys obviously will have that information at hand as it,
to the best of our ability,
I mean, the tap fees. What is a tap fee? Is that equipment?
that's, we do the taps, so we have to go, and we have the material, tapping sleeves.
Okay, so that's what that, you know, the $430 for a 3/4 size tap is, again, material stuff,
Basically, yes, that's what we,
as of now.
but I don't, if we did one today, in order to supplies today, it's probably not gonna be $430, so it's even more.
Okay,
Does that include the excavation for the tap?
That would be between them and their plumber. They prepare the hole and we just come and do the tap.
and this is just for the meter and the tap. I mean, they're paying the plumber for the copper or the line that's going in also. So it's just, this is probably a small part of
Yes.
a new person having a water line installed into their home or.
But the plumbers build into their quote, and they pay, so it's
So
something.
we charge the plumber and the plumber charges the homeowner. You're just basically discussing the fees with the plumber, not necessarily with the homeowner. And it's like one of those things, I need to put a tap in my house and it's, you know, not like you can negotiate with anybody else. It's not like,
Not, you know, water.
yeah, so kind of like a monopoly, I guess, but. Okay, so I need a motion to accept the modifications to the 2022 fee schedule.
I'll make that motion, we accept that
And I'll second it.
modifications.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, those in favor?
All right,
Opposed? Okay, carried. Okay.
So one last thing before we go into executive session. We have a property on Second Avenue that has a service leak. And I was talking to Bill about it before, and the customer is refusing to repair it. So I got quotes from plumbers. And I basically need a motion to accept the low quote and repair the service at 102 Second Avenue.
Okay, how much is the repair going to cost?
Well, based on what you can see, we can change when he excavates and starts doing the work, but we're at $8,900.
Okay.
That's the initial quote.
And then they get charged it through their water bill? Okay.
And we go on to taxes if it's unpaid.
Okay.
And
The
this,
property owner has been advised,
okay,
the property owner does not wish to replace the service herself. And Matt is going to send her a letter indicating the costs that have been quoted to us, so that she's aware of it.
Mhm.
And
does she have like a time frame to just get back to us then?
that'd be a good idea, what do you think?
It's
If we don't hear back from you
I
by,
think you need her permission, I think just an instruction, based on our conversation. You will let us know to replace the
we're gonna do the repair work on such and such, on or after this date.
We will be replacing this line at such and such a date because you refused to do it up to this date according to the rules and regulations, et cetera. We've retained a plumber and the plumber has estimated the cost of this, barring any complications, to be approximately X dollars.
She's already received several letters from
Just a
us
note.
Yeah.
requesting a replacement, so.
Okay.
Because technically you don't have to ask them, you know, you have.
Right.
This is to give them notice you are going to do it.
Right, we haven't told them the actual price yet,
No.
so now we have
And I-
hard and fast numbers, we can let them
And what
know.
I explained to Matt, I thought it would better if the board authorizes him by motion to send
Got
such correspondence to the person. So there's a record both in your minutes
Okay,
and it's also public.
Okay.
That's all.
Sounds like a good idea. I'll make the motion to send the letter to
102 Second Avenue.
102 Second Avenue, the resident owner.
okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
second,
Okay. Those in favor?
all right,
Opposed? Okay, carried. Going into executive session,
Yeah, and my reasoning is under collective negotiations, under the Keller Law, Local 750-6.
Okay. So I need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make the
Motion.
motion. I'll second it.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Executive session?
I make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Bob, can you say, okay, those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, we're out of executive session.
Okay, I'll make a motion to be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Water Commissioners hereby approves the terms of a supplemental memorandum of agreement between the department and local 750-6, Council 66 AFSC ME dated June 8th, 2022, as presented to the board meeting.
Okay,
And then you were going to grant a holiday for employees to observe Juneteenth, consistent with the city of Kingston, which is also adopted the same as a holiday for its employees, correct?
correct. Okay, have motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, opposed? Okay, carried. And so who signs for the employer? Do I sign for the employer?
Yes.
Do I sign?
Just the one,
Just-
it doesn't matter, they're all the same.
Should I write in this 8th day?
Yes.
So you'll
Yep.
transmit this to them and we'll see the response, I guess, right? I mean, if they don't sign it, then
Yeah,
I guess they have to come back and negotiate. Okay, nothing else. We're out of executive session, I guess. Nothing else on the agenda?
nothing else.
Motion to adjourn then.
Make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Did you get an invitation here for